All right, looks like we are live. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in today and joining us. Anybody who doesn't know us and not familiar with us, Sarah and Brandon here from the Harmonious Duo. And we wanted to sit down in front of you today so that we could share a little bit more about our story and actually, more importantly, share with those who are interested in something better, something more, that if two broke restaurant servers can break through and escape the industry that we were in for almost a decade, then and actually start to build a life now from home, that we can actually raise our daughter and be the main influence and do things that we really never thought we were going to be able to do. Then stick around to the end of this, because you're going to see exactly how simple it is to take the exact steps that we took to get where we are right now. And before we get into all that good stuff and all the meat and potatoes, we wanted to, share a little bit about us. And so this woman sitting next to me is Sarah. She's a single, or not single. She's a mom.
I'm not single.
She's a mom
guys.
who's always wanted to be a stay-at-home mother. That's what I wanted to say. And she's been the light of my life and the big reason why I wanted to get into business for myself. And so let her, share a little bit about herself.
Cool. Okay. Well, as you said, my name is Sarah. I come from a large family. I'm the second oldest of 5 kids. My mother was a predominantly single mother who was always working all the time to provide for a family. So, that forced me at an early age into the responsible position of having to take care of my younger siblings, which the only time I seem to, really that seemed to bother me was during the summer times, of course, because, I don't want to be stuck inside watching kids.
She's a party animal.
But not true. No, but it just, even though I was put in a position of responsibility at a young age, the ironic thing with me is that it actually put me on a path of absolute wandering, directionless, like kind of this buck the system type of attitude. So I spent years of my life going nowhere, and that got me into a lot of trouble. Maybe you can relate. I don't know. But it made me realize that I was doing a lot of things for my mother. I was doing a lot of things because it was what she wanted. I was doing a lot of things because other people wanted me to do it because they said it was the right way. Not only that it was the right way, but it was practically the only way. Grow up, go to school, graduate, get a scholarship, go to college, get a degree, get a high-paying job, and then go from there pretty much.
Sound familiar?
Yeah. And I never really wanted to go to college. I knew I wanted to do something that made me happy. I knew I wanted to do something that gave me fulfillment, and I knew I wanted to do something that hopefully paid me really well at the same time. But I didn't want to go to college. I didn't want to spend all that time inside classrooms, because even though I loved learning new things, I never really liked the structured, like forced classroom environment. And again, because of my whole buck the system attitude, that reflected in my grades and in the fact that I didn't want to go to school. And so because of that, again, I'm wandering, I'm lost. I spent years that most people spend in college trying to get a degree. I spent it homeless in California, which is not fun, wandering for like any job that I could find. It left me to where I was always doing like the same type of jobs. It was always either working in the food service industry or it was working with kids, because that's all I knew. Like I said, I come from a really big family, so I have a lot of experience with children. So it was always one or the other for me. And I knew that there was one point where, before I met him, where I was working at one of the bars that I worked for, and there was an older server that we had there. I don't recall her name, but I do remember she was like in her mid-50s, approaching her 60s, and she was still a server. And it wasn't like she was there because she had nothing to do with her time. She was there because she had to be there. And the thing that I remember most about her was the fact that she was a college graduate. Like, she actually did have a degree, and her field, because of the time that that it was happening, we had the crash of the economy in 2008, and her specific industry was impacted really negatively from it. So it's not like she was working because she didn't have the degree. It's not like she was there because she wanted to be there. She was there because she had no other choice. And I remember looking at her and having this like realization that, oh my God, like that's me. That's going to be me. I'm going to be 50 going on 60, working at a bar. And that blew my mind, like not in a good way. And I had this like knot in my stomach because I realized, well, what else would I do? I don't know anything else. I was at a place where I didn't feel like I had any other skills or any other type of value outside of the food service industry or in childcare. But I also realized that neither of those two things either paid me what I wanted to be paid, what I felt I was worth, or it just didn't bring me the freedom and the joy that I wanted. So it was not a good place to be in, and I'm sure maybe many of you out there can relate to that. And so I decided that I would take one last shot and I would go to Las Vegas, because it's Las Vegas. That's like the place you go to make really fast money. At least that's what all my
Not
friends.
how y'all are probably thinking either.
No.
No. It's a wholesome
But all my friends who were in California were moving to Vegas, and they were telling me about how great it is. Like, they're making so much money so fast. And, Sarah, come down for just like the summer. You can make a lot of money. You can move out of your mom's house. Because bear in mind, guys, that at this point, I am like 22 or 23 back at my mother's house. It was not something I wanted to brag about on dates. We'll just put it like that. And so I told myself, I was like, well, if this can be my one shot that can get me out of my mom's house, that can get me out on my own, can kind of put me on a direction or a path that can lead me to something better, then okay, well, I'll take this shot. And so I packed up my car with, everything that I had, and I went to Vegas, and it didn't happen the way I planned, much like California. And what ended up happening was I was back at a bar, and that's where I met him. And from the moment we met, he was very intriguing to me because he was very different. He was very much a go-getter and a risk taker. And I could tell that about him pretty much right away from when we met. And that was very interesting to me because I wasn't really used to being around that type of attitude, that type of, energy. And so it intrigued me a little bit, and I knew I wanted to learn a little bit more. So of course we connected and we started to learn more about each other, and we ended up, well, as you can see, we're engaged now. And, but when I met him, one of the things that I liked most about him was that he knew he didn't want to work for anyone else, that he was just working at that bar at that time because he was having a difficult time transitioning from the major hit that the real estate industry took, because he'll explain to you a little bit more in detail, but he was licensed as a realtor, and when we met, he was a realtor, but he was supplementing his income at the bar, which is where we met, which I'm thankful for. Yeah. But the fact that he was, how old were we? He was like, I think 25 when we met, and he was already a licensed realtor. And to me, that was astounding because I've never met anyone quite like that before. And so I wanted to learn more, and just being around him kind of gave me this opportunity to kind of dream a little bit more, to imagine, okay, well, if he did that and I stuck around him, like, what could I do? And so we got together, and we ended up having a relationship and starting a family. And it was at that time that he had transitioned from working at the bar to playing poker, and things were actually really great for a good while we were first together. And it seemed like when I broke the news I was pregnant, that it was like, oh, okay, well, not anymore. And that's when things started to stagger for us. And it all came to a point where we were lying in bed one night, and we realized, things had to change. We had this major realization that things had to change because where we were at this time in our life was not conducive for raising a family, especially because I knew that I always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, like he said, but I also wanted him to be very involved with our daughter's life, because for me, that was very important. I never really had a father figure growing up, and so it was very important to me that our children did. But typically, if you think logically, the way that we're told to think, then if you want a dad who's present, then I have to go work, or I get to be here and he has to go work. That wasn't really my cup of tea. So we had this realization that if we wanted to fulfill our dream of us both being full-time present stay-at-home parents, building this family that we wanted for ourselves, and still having the freedom to enjoy life on our terms, still having the freedom to go where we wanted to go and travel the country, and, you know, just have the freedom to do what we wanted when we wanted with whoever we wanted. We knew that we had to look outside the box. We had to think a little bit differently, and we had to be prepared to look at opportunities that other people might dismiss because it's not traditional, it's not normal. And that's where I'll let him pick up, is, you know, the fact that it came to a point where we realized we wanted something different, and we had to be prepared to look at something out of the box.
Yeah, and so with the way that she explained everything, the way that we met, the way that we're doing things now, I'll tell you, I don't regret a single thing. And the way that she explains it, she glorifies it a little bit. You know, it's a beautiful thing to have your own story and to say the way that you want to do it. And I can say that my story begins basically when I was 16 years old. I've had that entrepreneurial spirit that Sarah was talking about, I think, my whole life. I don't remember a time where I actually said to myself, I'm going to be the hardest worker out there. I've always told myself I'm going to be the smartest. If I can get people to do what I need done, you know, and have it be in their best interest as well, and pay them well enough to get it done, and to where I can free up my time systematically, that's like a dream come true for me ever since I was a little kid. And I never understood what it would take to actually get that done. So I was stuck in like a limbo for about a decade, where from the age of 16 to the age of about 25, when I met this beautiful woman, that all I ever did was wanted to be inside the restaurant industry for the most part, because I felt that was the closest to me being an entrepreneur that I would get to. I felt that, you know what, I'm in control of how much money I make, because I can pick up shifts and I can give away shifts. I can, you know, it's a silly logic that you have to yourself.
Which is very false.
It is. It's so false. And it tends to leave you in this sense of controlness, like control. And you're not, because the moment that you don't show up to a shift, or the moment that somebody complains about your service, your whole job is gone. Everything that you've worked for is gone now. And so it's a lot easier to get dismissed in the workplace than it is anything else that I've been involved in. Any entrepreneurial venture I've ever been involved in, it's easier to actually be dismissed from your workplace than it is to have a business closed down, in my eyes. That's how I believe. And so if you look at the way and the decisions that I was making, by the time I was 20, I was fed up with it. I was like, you know what? I'm done with working for other people. There's got to be a better way. Well, that's when she said that I got licensed as a realtor. I got licensed then, and I decided to go as hard with it as I could, but I had zero leadership. I worked for a bogus company who had me doing tasks that did not leave me excelling every day. They were leaving me just stranded with questions of what am I doing?
And they weren't pointing you in the direction of the right training that could get you the skills to make more sales, which is really important.
They were using me as a gopher, and they weren't
Go stick signs out there.
Yeah, they didn't see my potential. I was sitting here showing up every day early, staying late, doing what I could, and doing a lot of the work for free, because a lot of people who are in business for yourself, and I assume you watching this, you've either wanted to or you are in business for yourself, you know that the work that you put in, that doesn't mean that you're going to get paid for it just because it took hours to put in that work. Mm-hmm. It's the value that you put into that work. And the things that I were doing were keeping me busy, but they weren't actually producing income. So I found that I had to go back to the restaurant world. So really, I never left. I had maybe a 6-month hiatus where I was on my own, where I was a full-time businessman, where all my money was coming strictly from my real estate, where I had 2 or 3 good months where I thought that I was golden. You know, you have those $7,000, $8,000, $5,000 commissions, and you get them back to back, and you're just solid. You think to yourself, okay, well, if I made it off of, $3,000 a month before, and I have, $8,000 or $9,000 now, I'm good. But then you have to realize that you get to, market. You have just business strategy that you don't learn from anybody else if you don't have that mentor. Mm-hmm. And those are things that that's the cost of doing business. And I learned the hard way, and it forced me into, of course, another job where I was working 40 hours a week for somebody else, waiting and serving tables. Luckily, I was able to meet her there. That's what really, like we say, there's always, God puts you in the place that you're supposed to be in at that time. And if you could find the silver lining behind it and the purpose why you're there, typically you're going to turn that bad situation into a positive one. And so we've been able to do that with everything we've really gotten into after we've met each other. Everything from that being in that miserable job where we would walk out actually owing money, which is why she quit. Okay, which is the whole reason why she quit the job.
Another hangout.
We didn't want to be a part of that for a lifetime. I didn't want to, just like she said, I didn't want to be that 60-year-old man who's like, honey, I got to go to work today. I hope they give me a good section. You know, to say that for 40 years straight, it kills you on the inside. It kills your soul, and you're not living life at that point. You're just kind of
there
existing. And that's a painful way to do things. And then when I turned 25, I finally said, you know what? I'm done with this. Is why I met her. And I said, I'm through with this. Every morning that I went to work for that restaurant place, I thought, okay, well, what can I do different? The only thing that came to me in my mind, because of my entrepreneurial spirit, was what can I do on my own? What kind of business can I start? So I headed into, still being licensed as a realtor, I headed into playing poker professionally. And that was my way out. That was my way out. Now I did extremely well for that in the first couple of years. And it led me to just this thought that, you know what, I will never fill out an application for anybody else ever again. I don't care what it is. I will attain the skills necessary to create my value in the marketplace wherever I belong. I don't care where that is. I'm going to find somebody that knows that I'm valuable and will pay me for what I know. That's what I did know. I knew that there was people out there that were willing to do that. And that was a big part of people's success, was training, was coaching, was things like that. So I knew at the very least I had a fallback on my poker, very least. Now, I know that it tends to take money to make money. And I didn't know how to build a business. I didn't know how to start a business. I didn't know what it would take to build a coaching business for poker. So really all I was doing was crossing my fingers on my plan B and was putting all my eggs into one basket, which was poker, and in other words, gambling. I hate to say that word gambling with poker and initiate the two together, but we all know, we'll be serious and adults for a second and say that it's gambling, and you're not in control of everything and how it happens. So technically I could go to work and come back a couple $1,000s in the hole and still be prepared to go back to work the next day. Now that's painful on the mentality, and it's painful for the family to have to go through, because there are weeks on end where we would go without because of the fact that that's just the way the cards played. And I didn't know how to, after months of doing that, I didn't know how to explain it to my family. I didn't know how to come back and say, well, you know what, we're hurting. I don't know how to come back and be happy around my family when I just lost, $2,000 or $3,000 at the poker table. You don't know how to do that. It ruined me. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do to get past that either. And then, after about a year or two, until our daughter was about 2 years after our daughter was born, we finally were able to come across a huge opportunity that just saved, basically, I want to say, our family's life, because of the fact that we were in a spot that I was constantly at the poker table playing 12 to 16 to 18-hour sessions, coming back, sometimes losing, sometimes even, sometimes a big winner, but it wasn't consistent enough to get us to where we wanted to be. Plus, it was taking away those 18 hours a day from my family. So by me actually doing what I love to do was keeping me from the people that I love the most. And if you have to weigh your priorities, and if your money comes over your family, I think your priorities are jacked. And so I had to really do some thinking as a man to say, okay, well, what am I going to do so that I can actually be there for my family, not lose any money while I'm doing it, and create a legacy, almost create a business that we can actually be proud of, so that other people are going to want to join, take part in, and advance this in a way that is going to make a difference in the world. Because I can't do that at the poker table. We can't do that when we're teaching kids from preschool. It takes too much of the time, and it's not touching the right people. We have a huge vision, and we'll explain that to you in a little bit later, but it meant a lot to me to be able to do something for my family, and I didn't know exactly how else to do that. But when we came across the opportunity, it was amazing. And now I get to wake up every single morning, taking what we're learning from the day before, applying it into our business now. And in essence, all that's doing is building our business, growing what we're really doing, and creating more income for us. Mm-hmm. It's an amazing thing.
Yeah, but more importantly than the income's nice. Obviously, no one's going to turn that down. But more importantly, like he said, and it puts us in a position to where we can actually fulfill that desire that we had, which was to have a completely present family. Now Brandon's not gone for 18 hours of the day at the poker table, coming home wanting to pull his hair out. And he's actually here with Savannah as much as I am. He's involved in the learning process that we're putting her through, because with Savannah, we're putting her through homeschool. So we're starting to grow. We're starting to go through the process of implementing a homeschool schedule. And he gets to be here for that. Like, he actually gets to participate in teaching Savannah how to draw the alphabet, how to write her numbers, how to connect the dots, how to associate shapes and colors and sounds,
and all
of these amazing experiences that he would have elsewise missed if he if he had stayed at the table, because like he said, money was a higher priority to him. And I know it feels, especially if you have a family, that if you are not making the money that you feel will get you financially secure and kind of give you that breathing room, we know what that's like. And we know it can put you in a position to make you feel as though making money is your top priority. But when you fall victim to believing that money is above anything else, like say your family, that's when you start to notice all of these negative trends that start forming in your life, because you're absent. You're spending all of your time focusing on attaining money rather than appreciating the fact that there's money there and that it's not going anywhere. That's something that's really important for everyone to realize, is that money is there for everyone to have. It's the opportunity to make money is not going anywhere. And it doesn't matter what you hear on the news. It doesn't matter what you read in the newspapers. Money is literally being printed every single day. There's no scarcity of money. So when you take that and you make that your singular priority above, and you make that to where, like, you know, like that's your singular focus, and it's not aligning with what you really believe, you're going to find it really difficult to even make the money in the first place, which is going to force you to spend less time at home, or actually, you know, less time doing the things that you really wanted to do in the first place. And you're going to find that you're struggling more than anything else. And so, you know, that's one of the main reasons why we wanted to come and have this conversation with you guys, is because, you know, we know what it's like to be at a point to have this realization that things need to change, and you need to look for something better. We don't actually really like saying the term need, but in this essence, I think it applies. You need to have a realization that there is a better way. You just have to be willing to look for it. You have to be willing to open your mind to accept the opportunities that you might not have considered before, because they're not considered traditional, or maybe they scare you a little bit because you don't really know anything about it. But ultimately, the main point is that coming to the realization that you want something better is most likely why you're here, because you've been listening to us talk for a little while. You've been listening to us share some of our story, and, you know, maybe you've had a moment or two where, you know, a light bulb has clicked and you're like, oh my gosh, that's exactly where I am. Like, I know I want something better. I just don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I don't know. I'm stuck. And we're here to share with you the exact same opportunity that we took advantage of, that you can take advantage of today. You're going to see a button. It's going to be right here.
It should be.
Or right here. But that button is the opportunity. And all you have to do is make the simple decision that you're going to click it, and you're going to go through the process, the same steps that we went through. And you're going to not only see how ridiculously simple this opportunity is, but that if two really broke, you know, lifelong restaurant industry servers can take advantage of this opportunity and now be in a position where we have more time freedom, where we have the ability to feel more financially secure, where we have the opportunity to spend every waking moment with our daughter, being present parents, getting to be the main influence in her life. And most importantly, we get to spend more time not only building our business and growing our income, but building our relationship, because we're with each other so much. You have that same opportunity.
And so, for those of you who just heard everything that we just said and still haven't clicked that button, Sarah, tell them what exactly are they going to get when they click that button?
Well, when you click the button, you're going to get an opportunity to access our flagship product, which is a viral blogging system. You may have been hearing about it now as referred to as Kalatu, but that's our blogging platform. That's our main flagship product. And you get access to this product for 7 days for $9. But because of the fact that we know where you could be right now with realizing that something needs to change and remembering how that feels, we also wanted to give you the opportunity that if you take the time and make the decision to click the button, you also get 60 days free to try our affiliate program. So you not only get access to our blog for 7 days for $9, but you also get a risk-free 2-month time period to plug into our affiliate resources and to take the opportunity and build your own income, creating your very own online business. But most importantly, more than all of that, what you get for that is us. You get us. That's most importantly. Brandon hit it home for you many times in his story, is that one of the main reasons that contributed to his failure in the real estate industry is the fact that he was left with zero guidance, zero mentorship, zero training. No one was taking the time to coach him, to help him learn the skills he needed to learn to access his full potential. And we're here today to tell you that when you take advantage of this opportunity, you're not going to have to worry about that, because Brandon and I are going to be there waiting for you on the other side to welcome you in, to coach you through your getting started process, and to be there for nearly every step of your journey. Through this whole process, you will get access to us. So if you have questions, if you have concerns, you have access to communicate with us.
And we'll be there along the whole way. And, you know, anybody right now who's watched this whole thing, we hope to see you on the other side. And, you know, tomorrow we'll be here right around the same time. I forget what we're doing our hangout about, but it's going to be awesome. Make sure to come back tomorrow right around the same time, 1 o'clock.
We'll be sharing more value with you guys. One more time, this is your opportunity. It's going to be here or here. Make the decision, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Take care, everybody.